Russia has given a statement that the war will now not be limited to up to Ukraine, but will go on the internet, Europe as well, especially France. Do you think Russia and Iran will jointly initiate World War Three? I don't want World War Three. I don't think that any World War Three is going to happen anytime soon. I wish it. I hope it never happens. Look, statements. I can give 1,000 statements. Anybody can say whatever they want. Please understand the incredibly large difference between words and actions. You know, politicians, most politicians, I think all politicians, uh, we know they make lots of statements. Now, do they, and lots, they make lots of promises, especially during campaigning for elections. Do they keep all their promises? Obviously not. I cannot think of a single politician who keeps all of his or her election promises. I can't think of a single person. Can't think of a single one. So, considering that, with that in mind, please be aware that geopolitics also is that kind of game. There's a lot of mental games that go on. A lot of mental disintegration strategies are employed by putting out statements, by making strong statements, and sometimes obfuscating things. Sometimes misdirection is involved, and so much more. So, look, I don't care what statements are given. Generally, in war, like the great, what's his name, Sun Tzu, right? The Chinese guy. One of the most famous statements attributed to Sun Tzu is that all warfare is about deception. So, if you're planning to do something, do you think it makes sense to telegraph that in advance? That, hey, I'm going to do these things now. In the war that we are fighting against each other, I'm going to do this in the next coming 2-3 weeks or 2-3 months. Do you think it makes sense to do that? To tell your opponent in advance what your strategy is going to be like? No, makes no sense. So, statements, I don't care about statements. I only look at what are the actions that are being taken. And it makes sense that the war is not limited to one domain. War is a multi-domain thing, multi-dimensional thing. There is propaganda war. There is cyber war. We don't know what cyber attacks are happening right now. Okay, even the recipient of a cyber attack will keep quiet about that often, so as to not let the opponent know that they've succeeded. Um, so warfare exists at so many different levels. There is lawfare, there is propaganda warfare, there is social media warfare, uh, there is diplomatic warfare. And India is the recipient of some of this warfare right now from our so-called friends. So, so that's the situation. The war obviously is not confined to just the physical domain of Ukraine, and that's something that's already been going on for quite some time. It is beyond Ukraine. The sanctions are war. Sanctions, you know what sanctions are? Economic sanctions. It's siege warfare. It is the modern equivalent of siege warfare. You besiege a nation or a city. In the old days, you would have siege warfare, which means you have a city that has walls, defensive walls, fortifications, and the enemy will come and take over the entire land around the city. They can't break into the city because of the walls, but they will starve the city of all materials, all resources. So no more food can reach the city. If the city has a source of water, great. Otherwise, you can't even get water, and then you will starve them out and wait for them to surrender. That's siege warfare. Today, you have economic sanctions that do exactly the same thing. You starve a nation of its requirements, of the resources that it needs, and you wait for them to crumble. So that is warfare. The Americans are doing that against Russia. That goes beyond Ukraine. So many other nations are involved in that. So there are so many domains to war. Okay, so we should not be surprised about that. But the Russians will never tell anyone in advance what they're going to do. Statements, well, statements have their own place in the thing, but understand it, it's much more than that.